everyone is doubting themselves. Every single person is telling themselves that they're not good enough. It does not have to be true. You can absolutely rewire your brain to still take the scary step and do the thing, even when you're feeling like you're not good enough.
Stop and don't spend another single cent on advertising until you listen to this. I'm Marianne Amies. This is Ready, Set, Paid Ads, digital marketing for paid ad success. Let's go. Today we're catching up with Christine Corcoran. Christine is a mindset coach who works with business owners to help them get out of their own way. She's just written a great book on imposter syndrome, and in this episode of Do You Ads, we dive into everything from mindset, money mindset, growth and development, sales, and of course we talk about paid ads too. I think it's a great episode that'll give you some paid ads insight alongside a lot of insight into ourselves and how our own mindset and our own blocks can be holding us back through the marketing and sales process, and how ads are an opportunity to really get to know people and show people how we are, turn up, find those clients that are in perfect alignment and convert them. Hi, Christine. How are you going?
Oh, I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for our conversation.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, I'm really excited too. To kick off, could you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Christine Corcoran. I'm a business mindset coach and high-ticket sales strategist. And I work with women in business, ambitious women in business that are ready to take their business to the next level, but find that they're kind of like stuck in that messy middle. So they're wanting to transition from one to one to one to many. And whether that's with team or whether that's with their offers, there is so much that goes on in the middle of that. And I help them really get out of their own way, unlock any mindset blocks, and help them build in a sales strategy that actually supports their next level of growth. And I am super obsessed with money mindset, mindset in general, imposter syndrome, because we are our own worst enemy and we hold ourselves back and we self-sabotage. And so I love uncovering all of those patterns and all of those challenges that hold us back and working through shifting them with NLP processes and all these different mindset tools that I've studied in neuroscience to help rewire their brain to be able to succeed at the next level.
Amazing. Big, massive fan of mindset over here, as well as money mindset. I actually had Denise Duffield Thomas on the podcast a few months ago, and I did her course years ago. And the amount of stuff you have no idea that you're carrying when it comes to money mindset and the way it does impact your business and your life, I guess. And then, yeah, imposter syndrome, again, I think being a woman, it sounds terrible. It sounds like such a, not a cop out, but being a woman, but it's true. I don't think men have it. I don't think men deal with it the way we deal with it.
You're right. It's very different. And I think it comes back to the societal conditioning for men and women in our roles. And women aren't brought up from a young age to be expected to succeed and go after achieving mass amounts of success, whereas men are encouraged constantly to go out there, and we're encouraged very much to be homemakers or have it all. And so there's definitely some conditioning that we have to work through as women to overcome that, for sure. But you're right, like women do experience it a lot, and especially in business, it's one of those things that just brings it all to the surface.
Oh, absolutely. And then try being a woman brought up in a European family. It's about 10 times worse. I have 2 older brothers, and as the youngest and the girl, I mean, I say to my daughter all the time, your grandparents, for me, they just wanted me to be a wife. That was my number one goal. And even now, like, I sometimes, I know they're proud of me. They tell other people they're proud of me, but they also find it very difficult to understand what I do, how the home life is not my number one priority. My mum's always saying to me, you're a career woman, or your poor kids. She also likes to give me a lot of your poor kids, over the most minor things, like, oh, I went away for the weekend on a business trip. Oh, the poor kids. No, they're fine. They're happy. So it's like, I feel like Europeans, that upbringing is even more traditional, and that mindset stuff even deeper.
And I also think too, there's a lot of with the tall poppy syndrome kind of plays into it as well with Australians and New Zealanders.
Yeah.
It is rampant. And so I think that also plays into tall poppy in a way, because we don't want to be seen to be succeeding because there's a being torn down. So there's right from society that we're conditioned to not go big and to actually continue to play small and hold ourselves back. And so that is such deep subconditioning like wiring that if we don't even aware of it, like just as you were talking about with Denise Ethel Thomas, like once you start to become aware of the blocks around money, they're like, yeah, actually I do about that every day. And I do
Yeah.
actually money in that way. It's the same thing with success. So
Mm.
fearful of it, we have a fear of success and what the repercussions will be. We will sabotage ourselves all day. So if we're not conscious of it, then we won't ever overcome it.
No, 100%. And I think, again, even in Denise's work, it's about the money mindset, but there was a lot of stuff in there about imposter syndrome. And I think something that really stood out to me was thinking about who are those people that pop into your mind that you're worried about. And it's so, I guess, it's such a revelation to think this friend who's a great friend who I've had all my life or I've had since uni. Wow. Like when I think about it, I feel if I were to be bigger and better, they would actually judge me or look down on me or give me the snide comments that keep me small as well for whatever reasons are going on subconsciously for them as well. So you are up against all this kind of subconscious unknown to yourself. And until you do that work, you're operating under those restrictions.
100%, 100%. And the people that we do surround ourselves with matter so much. We don't ever want to, like, I very much have an experience where my parents would judge other people who had money on up. And so that was also a block that I needed to work through because it was like seemed to be doing well, which on social media, you have to be.
Yeah.
Look at you to be like, oh, you can help me. You have to show them. And one of the things, like last year, I spent a lot of time in America. And what I love about Americans is they're not backwards, they're coming forwards, they're telling you how good they are.
Yeah.
And in a bad way. It's
Yeah.
a boastful way. It's literally just like, well, here's why I can help you, or here's exactly what I've been able to achieve. So you know where we stand and how
Yeah.
what you can have. And I absolutely love that on so many levels. And I was like, we need to borrow that as things to actually really just acknowledge what we're doing. Because even as business owners, the amount of times, like I went to a networking event the other day, and the amount of times that we self-deprecate and or we play down our success, even just so fearful of saying it out loud of what we've actually achieved or whatever, it blows my mind. And it's something that I'm so passionate about, because if we were just 10% more confident in what we've actually been able to achieve, we would have more clients quite easily wanting to work with us.
Yeah, you're so right. And I mean, I haven't had the experiences in America, but I hear so many people talk about it, and that the way that we're on the back foot, we talk ourselves down, we don't want to tread on anyone's toes. And whereas over there, it is that confidence forward. And I think that would be, such an eye-opening experience. And you're right, we do, it's like I want to say things about myself and I even go to hesitate saying them to you now. Like, yes, I have a successful digital marketing agency. I've built it over 15 years. I have a team of 10. All these things. I barely talk about it. And then sometimes I sit there and I'll say to my husband, like, I have to remind myself, I did all that on my own. Like, I did it. I like everything that I walk into every morning in my 9 to 5. That I did that. And I don't talk about it. Even with friends. I have beautiful friends who are school mum friends, nothing to do with the marketing world, but they'll follow my Instagram, and some of them probably listening to my podcast right now because they're so lovely. And they'll say like, oh, I just love watching it, or I love listening because you've done amazing. And I'm like, oh, like, have I? I don't see it the way other people see it. And I think it is. It's all that subconscious. And similar to you, my family, especially my mum, definitely looks at people's wealth or looks at people's success, and they're in a great position themselves, but she'll say, oh, that cousin's always traveling. And I'm like, that's great, mum. Like, I wish I could get to 50, 60 and just be traveling. That to me looks fantastic. Oh, they're on another holiday. Oh, she was in a fancy, out. And it's like, that looks great. Like, who wouldn't want that?
And I mean, I would be so devil's advocate in that situation. I'd be like, what do you want to wear, mum, that you're not wearing?
Yeah.
Where do you want to travel that you're not traveling? Because like that's almost like activating something within her that then we repel what it is that we actually truly want. And if we have that awareness to be like, well, hang on a minute, what is it within that I'm wanting for myself that I'm just accepting that it's something that I really want that I just haven't allowed myself to have or haven't gone after? Like, even with our friends seeing that too. Like I have a very similar experience recently. So I launched my first debut book and it went to bestseller in like 24 hours.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was such a shock. Like I was not, and one of my good friends was like, screaming off the rooftops, was like, get on stories and tell everyone. And I was like, I can't. Like, I literally sat on it for like 2-3 hours
Oh, wow.
where I started telling people, because I was like, what are people going to think? What are people?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because the book is about imposter syndrome.
You're like, I'm an evolved human being. What am I doing?
It was just another perfect example of like imposter syndrome never goes away. We're always going to
Yeah.
experience it. And it's just about how we approach it and what tools we use. But like we all have those experiences, and it's about how you choose to respond to them, because we can choose to play small, or we can choose to
Yeah.
like go head first and be like, well, hang on a minute. Why do I think that? And why do I feel that way? And
Mm.
is it okay that I possibly trigger my friends, or is it okay
Yeah.
possibly show people what's possible if I go after my dreams? Like it's
Yeah.
possible. And I think that we've got to just be conscious of our own conditioning, but also reject other people sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
like my parents, like with my parents judging, successful people, and even like my mum, it's so interesting how she talks about money. And like I've done a lot of work on my money mindset and understand that they had a completely different life. And
Yeah.
I have a completely different life. The way that they earned money as farmers was very hard
Yeah.
work, yet they did very well. And it
Yeah.
was able to see that they still have a lot of scarcity mindsets. And so
Yeah.
I look at that now, and even like honor, even like you with your mum, like honoring her life experience,
Yeah.
and being like, that was still a path that they chose,
Yeah.
as much as it wasn't all chosen as such, but that was the
Yeah.
experience they had. But there's also definitely decisions that they've made along the way, and that's what they chose. And so you can
Yeah.
still honor and still honor their lessons and still take what you want from it, and then choose a different path.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I love that. And you're so right. Like for my parents, it's like that immigration. They immigrated when they were really little. So they came to a country where their parents couldn't speak English. So it was all that work hard, save. And I'm sure there were times where they probably went through really hard times financially. And of course, all that makes sense. My mum is the biggest turn the lights off, save
Yeah.
the last thing, don't throw out the leftovers. She has all of those kind of habits, which are wonderful habits, but you understand where they came from. Yeah. And it's their hard work that then got, for my family, got us in a position where we got educated and went to uni and did those things. And that is attributed to the work they put in before. But you're right. It's kind of like our opportunity in this generation is to now shift out of that scarcity and go, well, someone did the hard work and we're so grateful for that. But now let's not live with those shackles of risk and fear, and actually take all that hard work they did and push it forward.
Man. Like I often think about this because it's almost like a state of how you can sit in a state of gratitude instead of
Mm.
frustration in business, because
Yeah.
aren't going well, or if things are hard, or if you're complaining because you have to get on social media to promote your business. Like if you think back to when our families, like
Yeah.
that wasn't a thing. Like to start a business back,
Mm.
like my dad was young when he took over the family business.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind that like we get to make money chatting on Zoom while we're in high school.
100%.
Like it helps me like really stay in a state of gratitude.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for the path that they did pay.
Yeah.
Now we get to be able to live life in a much easier way. And so
Oh, you're so right. Yeah, and that's such a beautiful perspective. And it's funny, I've always had this mindset, even from young, that if you want to make money, you can make money. And I think as we've gotten, back then I used to say, like, if things got hard, you can be a checkout chicken Coles. Like there's money to be made. As long as you have no ego, there's always money to be made. And now it's even more, like Uber drivers, Amazon delivery, all of that wasn't there before. If you had to make money before, what were their options? They were so limited what they could do in hard times to make money. Whereas now I think even entrepreneurs and building a business, when I started my business, I was on maternity leave. And then when I decided not to go back to my job and was still kind of building, I was teaching. I was teaching 2 to 3 days a week. That was how I made money to support the business in its infancy. And I think it's that as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that people are so, with social media, unfortunately creates this false experience of like, we need to have it overnight or it happens real fast, when really good, solid business that lasts takes time to build.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I was doing 2 days a week with a not-for-profit for months after I'd left my corporate job, because I built up my business a lot while I was in my job, and then was like, I need more time to keep building. So I left that job and got a 2-day-a-week coaching role with a not-for-profit, which was so perfect. And did that for a few months before I was able to then be like, I don't actually need this now. I can do this with my business.
Yeah.
So I think people almost villainize that in a way of like, it didn't happen overnight. Well, no, a lot of success doesn't.
And sustainable success doesn't. Like, I always come back to like, I'm 15 years. I've seen a lot. And
Yeah.
the sustainable success doesn't happen overnight. Those people that go from unknown to the big deal that everyone's talking about, and they haven't been in it for long, but they're doing all these big, they fade. Like, it's kind of like that burn bright too fast and they fade away. It is the people, the names I see that have been in it for a long time are the slow, sustainable, and always changing and adapting. That's the other thing, I think you would know it as much as me, how you think you're starting out. You have to keep adapting to what the market is doing, because the demand changes, the focus changes, the tools, the tactics, everything is always changing. And I guess we have that right to pivot along the way.
We have that choice. Like, it's such a joy
Mm.
to be able to. That's what I think I love about business the most is get to make those decisions and make them fast. Like, I used to hate
Yeah.
when decisions used to make
Yes.
and I'm like, new idea, build a sales page. I'm right.
Yeah.
I actually really love that. And I agree that we get to pivot, but I also think we evolve as business owners.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that it's allowing yourself to choose new decisions and what really feels right for you, because there will absolutely be times where you're like, well, actually, this doesn't serve me anymore, or this is not actually giving me the joy that it used to give me,
Yeah.
or, I created this amazing program and it's great, but I don't love running it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you're absolutely allowed to make changes within your business that really feel aligned to you. And I feel like we evolve and we change and we get to choose how we want to do that. And I think that
Yeah.
that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, running your own business.
Yeah, so true. And the other thing with that is, I've had this conversation before, and you'll totally relate. I think running a business, being an entrepreneur, is the biggest personal growth boot camp of your life.
100,000%. You cannot ignore the self work that comes along with running a business, because, and even like, I came from corporate sales. So and I teach sales, but like, coming from corporate sales, you would think that stepping into your own business, it would be easy to sell.
Yeah.
There's a difference between selling other people's stuff and selling yourself. And I would help other business owners run and not run, but like build and grow their businesses.
Yeah.
But in mine, I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
All the doubts come up and all the money
Yeah.
threat, all the challenges that come with self-promotion and learning all the different skill sets you have to learn. Designer, there is just so much that goes into it. And your mindset is one of the biggest things will determine whether you keep going or whether you give up on it, and whether you do well and whether you suck at it. Like, it's honestly one of the things. And I think that the more people ignore the mindset work, the more burnt out they get. And this is what I've seen in like the last 18 months. I'm seeing a lot of this with be pushing so hard to keep their businesses alive instead of actually doing the self-work. And they think it's got to be something that they change in the market, or something that has to change in their offer, or something they have to fix or a funnel or whatever. No, you have to fix you.
Yeah.
Your alignment. You're not attracting the right things, but everything you're focusing on is causing the stress. And I often talk about this with my 7-figure business owners that I work with, and multi-6 figures that are working towards 7, that transition is actually more about your identity and the shift in beliefs about yourself and your ability to manage the next level of stress.
Yeah.
The next level of risk taking.
Yeah.
All mindset.
Yeah. So true. So true.
Because you can have the strategy and you can know what you need to do, because you can see it even online with everyone's doing, like, all the things that people are doing. You can have a great strategy, but if you don't have the right mindset and the right confidence and the right mindset back it, you will either give up on it or you won't follow through on it. You'll sabotage, roast it. There's so many factors that go into that, and it's that next level of your ability to manage your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a huge point. And I think that is, again, with that lens that you're looking at it as well, like, that is the joy and the beauty of it, is that one way or another, it's going to grow you.
100%. Like, I was talking to a client about this a little while ago, and she had grown her warehouse to needing the bigger warehouse. And she was having challenges with leases and all this kind of, and then importing all this bunch of stuff. And I was saying to her, like, she was really stressed about it. And I was like, the people that already have achieved this level of success, how do they perceive these shifts and changes within your business? And she was like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, that's often why you feel like it's just happening to you. It's not just happening to you. It's almost like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Like, challenges, these are the obstacles that come up at this stage of growth within a
Yeah.
business. That it's not a bad thing. It's not something that's happening to you. It's actually growth. How you embrace that challenge and how you address it is all in your mindset. So
Yes.
I'm like, what if this was just a normal growing pain in the
Yeah.
business? What advice do you need? What support do you need? What information do you need? How do
Yeah.
you educate yourself? Because some of it is the reason why it feels so scary or feels so unknown or feels so stressful is usually because you only have like 20% of the information
Yeah.
or don't have anyone else's experience to be like, oh, yeah, I dealt with that last year and this is how I dealt with it, right?
Yeah.
Usually those conversations that you're having with people
Yeah.
starts to shift to change your perception of. And so I think sometimes we've got to recognize like sometimes we are keeping ourselves in our own little box, thinking our problem is a bad problem or a
Mm.
problem that only you are experiencing.
Yeah.
Then when you talk to more people about it and you're up to it, everyone is experiencing the
Yeah.
same challenges you're experiencing in your business. It
Yeah.
doesn't make you different or unique. The way that you reflect and respond to it. If your brain is like, oh, it's me, I'm bad at business, I should change this, I don't know what I'm doing, like all of that, if it's self-focused, you're
Yeah.
focusing on it. You'd be like, okay, solution, how is this a problem? What can I focus on solution-wise? And how can I get more information and knowledge around this? Because
Yeah.
I'm going through this. You're going to change and evolve through that challenge, through that obstacle. And the way that you embrace it is going to be the difference between whether you hate it the whole time and be stressed, overwhelmed, or be like, okay, I'm evolving through this. I'm going
Yeah.
to be a leader. I'm going to become a better business owner
Yeah.
and better at finances or whatever is the
Yeah.
challenge. It can actually be serving you for where you want to be.
Yeah.
Because owners, and I see this all the time where they're like, oh, I want these big next level success and I want this big audience and I want all of this money and all these things. I'm like, great. Are you willing to learn the and evolve through the
Yeah.
challenge of that? And often not even realizing that like they're like not. Stay the same. I want to do my same thing.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
want to be safe and secure and in my bubble. I don't want to evolve. No, it's so true. It's funny, when I go through challenges now, especially maybe more of the people challenges, team stuff, those sorts of things, I sit there and I frame it to myself of like, I'm going to be so proud when I'm on the other side of this. Like, this is so hard and so challenging, and it's taking all these skills, and I've got to be better at this, and I've got to shift that, and I've got to step up and be, I can be a very people pleasing kind of person. So, I have to put myself first and I have to prioritize the business. And then I think I'm going to be so proud when I get to the other side of this and I look back, hard conversations. Like, I don't want to have that conversation. I'm going to be so proud when I've had it and see that I can do it and remember that I've done hard things before. I can do them again. I'll get on the other side of it. But yeah, you're just constantly challenging yourself to grow.
And I often say too, like, this is going to be such a great story to tell.
Yeah.
Other business owners. I mean, I guess that's probably me as a coach. Like
Yeah.
big challenges, like people learn how you navigated that challenge. Oh, that's normal founder stories, right?
Yeah.
So like, acknowledging like this is going to be a bloody great story to tell and learn and evolve through it. And I love that you also do that self-reflection to be like, you embody the change and you've taken that new quality that you've developed and be like, that's now become part of who I am.
Yeah.
Right? Like having conversations is one of the biggest lessons.
Yes.
And sometimes people reject that or avoid that at all costs, make conflict, avoid it at all costs. And then they're the ones that are usually having the biggest challenges when it comes to client relationships. Right. And it's like, it's because you're not willing to understand that there are two parts and you need to understand and consider both sides. And it's not even about you. The majority of the time it's not about you.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. And it's all that avoidance that catches up with you. It's great at the time to avoid the difficult things, avoid the conflict, but it's everything that you accept, you end up having to put up with. So you have to really push yourself and all those things. And I just think, to my mind, it just cycles back and again about how much personal growth you go through when you own a business, run a business, be an entrepreneur.
100%.
Well, we are here to talk about paid ads. We have had an amazing chat so far. But I'm going to dive in and ask you my favorite question to ask, which is, do you ads?
Oh, 100%. 100%. It took me a while to get into it though. Like I had an experience, I don't know how much you want to know, but I had an experience early in the journey, which I think it was a mix of, I worked with an agency and wanted to get my Facebook ads all working and obviously get set up with like lead generation and whatnot, and understood that in the process of that, I needed to build my audience.
Yeah.
So to not only build my audience, but build like the data for
Yeah.
Facebook to work correctly, right? So that was a long process and I put a lot of money into it. And I look back on it like a huge lesson for many reasons of like acknowledging like I didn't know enough in the process, right? Was that the agency that I chose to work with actually had never worked with coaches before and I didn't know that.
Oh,
And
wow.
they didn't know my industry, didn't know my business. And so what we were doing lead magnet wise and what we were doing with the ads wasn't actually working. And
Yeah.
looking now, I see that. So I ended up pausing that relationship and now I do my own ads in-house, but I have a person that does my ads and I love it. I think it's such a beautiful way. If you get it right and if you work on it and tweak it and perfect it every step of the way, it can work really well for your business. And I feel like, I don't know if you have this a lot, but even in my coaching industry, like there's a lot of negativity towards doing where I'm like, no, it's actually part of business. Like if growing your audience, growing organically, yes, is one way, but doing ads is a more effective way to get in front of people to scale your business because there can come a time and when you're scaling that you've exhausted your audience and it's time to meet new audiences. And there's lots of organic ways you can do that for sure. But why would you not one stream that's actually connected to ads? Like that just seems just because of the judgment that could happen.
No, 100%. And I think organic is great, but it's really slow. It's not what it was when we all, well, for some of us started a long time ago, but it is slow now. So I always think you've got like time and money. So if you're willing to wait the time, sure, forego the spend, forego ads. But if you're looking to get that traction in a time frame, ads is a great answer. And the other part I think of with ads is all that wonderful organic content. Ads is that opportunity to ensure it gets in front of the right people as well. But yeah, definitely there's that camp that kind of see it as a scam. Oh, ads is just about Facebook making money. Ads don't work. They're a money pit, which is an interesting thought for a platform that's allowed us to reach millions of people for free over the years that we would have had no other way of reaching. And then now to pay the cheapest ad costs you've ever seen in your life to guarantee getting in front of those people, and I think that comes from being in marketing, being in marketing for 25 years. I used to have $1 million campaigns because TV, print, and radio is bloody expensive. This has revolutionized what people like you and me can do and how we can reach it. And then the other thing, I think the big roadblock of ads is the mindset. All of a sudden, I'm going to be everywhere. I'm going to be in feeds. And I think that's definitely something that you would probably talk to with your clients and the mindset bit.
Yeah, I actually I never thought about it, but I do often get that. Like, oh, I've been seeing your ads. And it always feels like, oh, cool, they're working. My reaction to it is like, great, that's awesome, that's working. It's getting to the right people, especially if I'm in relationship or in conversation with someone. I know that they're the right fit. So I love that. And I think that it's such an interesting mindset. And I think that it's conscious of like, well, how fast do you want to grow? I totally agree with you. You can spend 3 years and or you can spend 6. You want to spend your time. That as well, like hiring effective people that know what the hell, again, is a smart move in business. And I always love to think like even the leadership piece of that, of like, if you're hiring people that are less experienced than you and you're always going to be taking over their role to try and do it better than them, that's a really egotistical way of running a business instead of actually, how do I hire the most talented person who really impact the business in a positive way? And that's the same thing with finding someone who does ads really well. I agree with that. Like it used to be so expensive with everything. And same thing, like if you go and pay for a billboard, right, why would you not? And then get the audience that you would get would be so random.
Yes, correct. And so untracked.
Exactly. Like, and you have no bloody clue if it actually works. Just love that when I see people download my programs, when I see people get access to tickets for an event and I'm like, and I go and because I'm in business, I can stalk people. So I can find other businesses and be like, yes, oh my God, that's amazing that they're coming. Like I get that they're the right fit. And I just ads get me in front of those people and it gives them a solution to a problem they're experiencing.
Yeah, and that's a good point as well. Good ads get you in front of the right people and help those people. And you touched on before your experience in sales. And I think when it comes to sales, again, we have those blocks around selling, selling is greasy, selling is yuck. But truth is selling is giving somebody a solution to something that they needed. And when you're running ads, you're giving someone a solution to something they needed.
Yeah. 100%. Sales is such an interesting conversation still, and it still blows my mind that even so many business owners have an aversion to sales. Like I remember speaking, really?
Yeah.
Oh, meaning
I put my hand up.
I remember talking to someone at a retreat that I was speaking at, and she said blankly to my face, "I hate sales." And I was like, in my head, I was like, game on. Like I love sales. And she's doing one of my sales programs and she now loves it because
Yeah.
when you start to approach sales from a perception of it's a relationship that you're developing and that if you have a solution to a problem you're experiencing, then it could be a really great fit.
Yeah.
And you're helping, right? The reason why someone would buy from you is because they need your solution or they really want the thing that you're promising, right? So they have the desire for the outcome that you're offering. And so acknowledging that within someone and recognizing that most reasons why people feel uncomfortable with sales is usually because of the mindset that they have around it, perceiving that it's going to be judged or they're going to be sleazy or all the things. We're going to be used car salesmen. But secondly, it's actually often that they don't understand the process because sales does have a process. And
Yeah.
if you're in the first 5 steps of the process, it does feel salesy, pushy, and fleazy.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I always say, I hate sales, I hate selling. But then I have been doing it
Forever.
And I think when I'm selling, what you said is exactly what I'm doing. So I don't think I'm selling, but I am. You know, it's listening, it's asking questions, it's trying to solve the beginning of the problem in my mind to then be able to make a plan of what could be the right fit. And I think something I haven't really done is cold pitching, going out. And I feel like I still got some mindset blocks to work through because, again, from that kind of imposter syndrome and confidence, that's the ultimate, right? Going out to somebody who hasn't come to you and saying, hey, look at me. I think I'm really good at this. And I think I could help you with this problem I think you're having is a huge leap.
Well, this is the interesting piece, right? Is because the reason why you feel more comfortable when people are coming to you is because there's interest there. They're interested in the solution that you have to offer. So there's an open invitation.
Yeah.
When it's pitching, there's no invitation. It feels uncomfortable. But there is a way to overcome that. If you create an opportunity for interest, then you will the same way. So if you are just straight cold pitching, whereas like, this is what I can fix. And we get this all the time, like the amount of DMs that I get and the amount of emails that I get of like, your YouTube is not reaching the people.
Oh God, yes.
Stop bagging out my YouTube. Like a really masculine way where selling is tear down, make them feel bad, make them feel not in order to fix the problem.
Yeah.
Work anymore. People are so privy to it. It's so yuck. We need to start adopting new feminine ways of selling, which is connection. So it sounds like what you do really well. We relate, we empathize, and take the time to get to know the person and build the relationship to see if there's a solution, to see if there's interest in the solution. And so you can overcome that with a pitch by actually asking more effective questions in the early stages and asking them if they're open to a conversation. You're not asking them to buy something or to a pitch. You're just asking, would you be open to having a conversation around it? And that then usually is like, then the interest will come from their side. And then you'll be like, oh, I can ask more questions and find out whether this is the right fit.
Yeah.
Also, it's just that the perception is like, oh, I've got a cold pitch and just Whereas if you just come back to being human, like, you'll come back with that same sales process. You'll find it and you'll have a better outcome anyway. Like I get cold pitched for the podcast all the time as well. Like I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
And if there's no connection there, if there's no interest, then it's kind of like, go away. But it's
so true.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Facebook ads. Like the way that you do Facebook ads is you're getting people to land their ad in front of interested parties that have probably been clicking on other things that are in relation to that. So there's some form of interest.
Yeah.
If they're going to a cold audience and there's no interest, it don't work.
So true. And look, that's why we talk about, and it sounds, it's jargon, it's all these things, but that's why we talk about funnels as well. And you'd be so experienced with marketing funnels. But if the first ad I ever see of you is come to my event or buy my course, I'm like, I don't know you. I don't know you from bar of soap. Why on earth would I do that? But if the first ad I see is some stuff of you talking, some opinion pieces, and then, I engage with those, and then next I get the lead gen and I download something about you, or I download something that gives me that little insight to who you are and what you do, or maybe it solves a really small % of the problem I'm having. When I then get the ad that's about a workshop or a course or an event, I'm like, I know her. I know Christine. I've downloaded that thing of hers or I watched those videos. It's that journey. And that's a really beautiful connection to bring back to, because when you think of your ads, thinking of it in that sales relationship. And I think so many people want the magic bullet. So they
Yeah.
just want to go to the bottom of the funnel.
Yeah.
But there's all those great dating analogies about it as well. You got to warm people up first.
Percent. The amount of times in my sales program that happens a lot where it's that they just want to go straight to the sale, and I'm like, stop asking people to marry you and you
Yeah.
have coffee. Like, going too hard, too fast.
Yeah.
Slow the process down.
Yeah.
They're not ready to take their pants off. Like,
Yeah. You don't
it's
even know
fun.
their name yet. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Fun
But
time.
yeah.
Sales is always so interesting in that perception. Yeah, it's one of those things that it's often the mindset first and then understanding the process.
Yeah, 100%. And that beautiful point you touched on about being human at every step, even though we're performing in this digital world and we're working in this digital world, it is still really important to bring that human. You and I spoke before we kicked off just about in-person things versus Zoom things. And I think still trying to be as human as possible through all your marketing, through all your digital touch points. And people like you and I know that personal brand, people connect with that. People find it, I guess they connect less to those faceless businesses that are pumping a logo and a brand and an aesthetic, but nobody ever pops out from behind. It's like the Wizard of Oz from behind the curtain and says, hey, it's me, it's been me all along. And that human connection takes people on that journey.
Yeah, people honestly do want to buy from people they like.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be that type of connection. And I mean, the only other thing I think that trumps that is like status and credibility. But saying that, there still has to be a likability if that person is self-aware.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
I'm sure you've been in situations where people have sold to you where you were like, something's not right there. Don't trust that. Right?
And again, the status and credibility thing, different elements of that excite different people. I know I'm turned off by the people that get on and are like, oh, I just picked up my brand new luxury car and look at me living. I flew first class. I'm like, that doesn't do it for me. Like, that's wonderful and really happy for you, but how can you help me? But there's people that love that affinity. Like, if this person has reached a level of success where they can do A, then I want them in my circle so I can do A. And it works for some people.
I think there's definitely elements to that. I think I like to lean more on any type of, when I'm building out a sales strategy or helping someone grow and attract the right clients for their business, I always come back to their values.
Yeah.
If you just attract with values, with your core values, you'll attract the people that you really enjoy working with.
So
Because
true.
if you don't value that level of status or success, you then are repelled by the people value that level of status or success, right?
Yeah.
And you're talking almost like material level success.
Yeah.
There could be other things of success that you really value. So for instance, like I remember early on really working my money mindset, and I was like, oh, I don't really have a representation in my life of someone that's doing extreme, that's not doing it unethically.
Yeah. Concerning.
In stages of the coaching industry, there was a stage
Yeah.
people were doing it really unethically and it felt really gross. And I was like, I don't want to be them. And so I needed to find a role model that I could look up to that had values. And for me, it was Sarah Blakely, who runs
Yeah.
Spanx.
Yeah.
And incredible. And she has this core value of connection with her friends. And so
Yeah.
every year on her birthday, she books a trip for a bunch of her friends and she pays for all of it. And sometimes she goes on a luxury yacht, other times she goes on a private, and they go to a different location. They went skiing, like all these different experiences. And I'm like, that feeds my soul. Like, I want to have that level of money to be able to take my friends on an incredible holiday and have experiences, because I value travel, I value freedom, and I value connection. So if you find someone in relation to your values, then obviously I have that representation. So you make success safe, because otherwise you do it. But secondly to that, like using it in your sales process is really worthwhile to attract the right people. The amount of people that I have, like one of my other values is integrity. In my programs, that comes up on a weekly basis. I'm like, that's my people, right? They're not sell unethically. They're not going to lie about what it is that they're not going to promise shit they can't deliver.
Yeah.
That's really integral to what it is that I do. And so it's so important to me that I attract people who also value that.
Oh, so true. And that's such a good point about having somebody that you can look at that embodies what you want and what you want to be. And then the other point I think is it's that classic thing that business owners go through where they think the market is really small and the market is really big. And there's no, what you put out is going to attract some people and it's going to repel others. And that's perfect because the market is big enough that the ones that don't connect with you will connect with that other person who maybe is promising overnight success or who maybe has the things that you don't talk about. We're not trying to attract everybody. And you're so right. The ones that you attract in alignment are the ones you love working with.
100%. Every single time I have that happen in my programs, I'm like, yes. And I've got the best people. I work with the most. And I even had I spoke at an event, when was it? Last month, I think it was. And every single person in the room, just genuine, kind, loving human.
Yeah.
And every conversation I had was just soul fulfilling. I was like, I
Yeah.
had one lady and then it was just such joy and contentment with another. I was just like, this is awesome. Love that I get to do this. And afterwards, the organizer of the event, she was like, the people that came today was so amazing. It was a different feel this time. Everyone was so lovely, so kind.
Yeah.
That's my people.
Yeah.
So nice. And I think that sometimes you've got to just acknowledge too that you attract what you put out. So I'm really conscious of that, of how do I portray myself online? Because it's such a funny thing when it comes to self-promotion and on video. I used to have this almost really professional, because I came from corporate and it was almost I had to be put on.
I know exactly what you mean. We kind of get a hangover from corporate.
Even with emails, I'd be like, anyway.
Kindest regards.
I feel like that journey of trying to lean more into authenticity with my social media. And I'm trying to, and even I had someone come to that event who I'd never met before. She'd been following me for ages. And she's like, I just chatted to her for a bit before the event started. And she's like, are you you're the same. You're the same. And it's so nice to see that you're exactly you. And I was like, great, because I don't know how to be anyone else.
Yeah. That's such lovely feedback. And I think you're right. The more authentic you are, again, the more you'll attract. And I guess the less energy you have to put into being somebody else.
Yes, 100%. That would be exhausting if I had to try and be someone else.
Well, I have enjoyed this chat so much. We've talked about mindset, obviously, throughout and imposter syndrome throughout. I'd love you to share a little bit more about your book. Obviously, it has recently come out and it's doing really well. But I know I'm through this conversation in my head, I'm like, I got to get a copy of that book. So I'd love you to tell everybody about the book as well.
Thank you. Appreciate that. The book is called Turn Imposter Syndrome into Your Superpower. And it is a practical guide on how to rewire your brain to stop playing small and unapologetically go after what you want. And it's such a surreal moment to actually have it in my hands now, after so much work that went into it. And it's such a long process to get a book out, to be honest. And it's so beautiful to have it in people's hands and to hear the impact that it's already having. I wrote this for the high achiever.
Yeah.
So people who are it is for anyone that's experiencing self-doubt and imposter syndrome, 100%. But I think sometimes high achievers like you, like myself, we sometimes get into the concept of oh no, I've got a good mindset. I don't really need to work on myself. But one of the biggest things, the biggest journeys I've had with imposter syndrome is how it actually is so sneaky in the way that it shows to keep you playing small, and it rationalizes with you to keep you in the place that you're in. And so for high achievers, for people who really want an extraordinary life, you are going to have to step outside your comfort zone again and again and again. And so this is a practical guide on actually how to flip the script with imposter syndrome, because a lot of the time experts in the past have spoken about imposter syndrome being something that you can overcome. And then once you're good, but that's actually not right. Through the book, I share with you lots of different successful, talented, incredible people that have everything you could possibly want for a level of success, and they still experience it. And it's because it's a protection mechanism for your brain. And so instead of actually looking at how to overcome it, I teach you how to embrace it, and I teach you how to use it as a tool for your growth, right? Because if you actively sort out opportunities where you experience the imposter syndrome, those opportunities, those challenges would skyrocket your business.
Yeah.
The reason why you're not doing them. So even as someone who is successful, there are certain things that I know for sure that would activate you to feel like you're not good enough, that would make you feel not talented enough, experienced enough, expert enough to do things that deep down you really want to do. That's imposter syndrome. And I wrote this because for so long, so many conversations I would have with people, that people would talk about imposter syndrome like it was this thing that they just had, and it was like a disease that they couldn't cure, and
Yeah.
the reason why I can't do those things was
Yeah,
like,
as a crutch.
oh, no, but you don't understand. I have imposter syndrome, so there's no way I can do that. Everyone experiences it. Everyone is doubting themselves. Every single person is telling themselves that they're not good enough. It does not have to be true. You can absolutely rewire your brain to still take the scary step and do the thing, even when you're feeling like you're not good enough. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And keep you safe. So I'm excited to get it into people's hands. And the feedback so far has been incredible, because I actually had one lady leave a review on the book, and she was like, it was almost like, this is Kismet, because she said, I needed this.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, now so many post-it notes attached to the book and all these little sections that I'm going to go back to, because I know that as I go after my dreams, it's going to keep coming back, and I'm going to now have the tools to be able to overcome it. And I was like, oh my God, I had absolute goosebumps. I'm like, yes, that's why I wrote it. Like, yes, go after what you want and look back. So exciting to have it out into the world.
Well, congratulations, because writing a book is a mean feat, and then publishing it and getting it out there is another huge one as well. And then before we wrap up, I'll just ask, where can people connect with you as well?
So I hang out most on Instagram. I'm on all the social media platforms, but mainly I hang out the most on Instagram. So you're more than welcome to come and find me there. My handle is Christine Corcoran _coach. And you'll see it's a pink profile. It's always a pink profile picture. And yeah, send me a DM and let me know what you took away from our conversation today, because we've touched on so much, and I'm sure
So much.
we took so many different things away from it. So I always love to hear from people, because podcast is such a funny medium where we don't know who listens.
Yeah, yeah, true. Oh, amazing. It's been such a good chat, and I've personally got so much out of it, and I'm sure people listening will get so much out of it as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it and loved our chat.
That's a wrap on another episode of Ready, Set, Paid Ads. If you're looking for done-for-you services, training to upskill you in ads management, or free and paid resources to help you plan and execute better ads, head to wiseupmarketing.com.au. If you've loved this episode, be sure to subscribe for future episodes. And if you know someone that would love this podcast too, go on and share it.